Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring in our top right hand side JDSoap, our red Terran, and his opponent in the bottom left is ApeXPredatoR, our blue Protoss. ApeXPredatoR is in high gold, high enough to be placed against a diamond level player, which is JDSoap. At the time of this game, JDSoap is in diamond. At the time of this casting, he is in Grandmasters. Just to cue you in on the level of play we're going to be seeing from him. I did not research ApeXPredatoR to the point where I should have. It's definitely possible he is not in gold anymore, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't believe so. I did look into it just a little bit, and it still looked like he was in gold. But there's several different places you can look for league standing, and sometimes BattleNet's wrong, and blah 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 blah. Regardless, it's going to be a great game. We're both on Derelict Watcher, which means you get this really cool doodad in the center. You get really weird placement of the Xel'Naga watchtowers. And you also have a nice choice about where you want your third to be. The natural's an obvious choice, but then you have this really wide ramp leading down to this incredibly open pathway. And then the natural third that you normally take, like you look at this map and you're like, this looks like the normal third to take. It's close by ground. It's nice and close by, but it's very, very exposed. The third over here comes with it some unique possibilities. You can take this one and it kind of locks down any of the harassment drop potential into your main because of it, and it also makes it so you can really aggressively position your army right here, and it kind of makes it so you can sort of defend all of your bases at once. It's very difficult to pick the right one. We do see an early barracks, early refinery going up for JDSoap, which probably means we're going to be seeing a Reaper opening from him. SCV moving on down, early scout from him too, so JDSoap really likes his scouting, and maybe he likes this harassment too. We'll see how much damage that Reaper does later on. Weird right there from all those probes. Maybe he was worried about a Reaper from the SCV, but negative. It was just an SCV. It's not a Reaper. I like how he's found that little gap right there. The cybernetics core is being constructed by ApeXPredatoR. He's got that one gas already up. Probably going to be seeing something else sooner or later. A second assimilator is something else. I like it. But we also see that JDSoap is beginning to bank a lot of money. He's probably going to be going for a very early CC, just because of what he scouted, which is a great play. I mean, he hasn't seen anything that could possibly threaten him. This is a massive map, and it's really going to be difficult for a single gateway to actually do any damage, especially whenever he's already got a reactor on the way for his barracks. And with that first Reaper out, he's definitely going to have no problem at all locking down anything that's coming out of ApeXPredatoR's base. SCV is going to be moseying on back, taking one last peek to make sure a Nexus is not up. Speaking of Nexus, 300 minerals saved up for ApeXPredatoR is going to be coming down. Is going to be trying to take that expansion hold position on the Zealot, making it so that the Reaper really isn't going to be doing any damage. And now that they've both been repelled, the Mothership Core is really going to make it so that that Reaper has a hard time poking back up into this base to see that the Nexus is down there. Speaking of expansion, command centers more than halfway done. We have a bunker going down on the low ground and an engineering bay being thrown into the mix. So yeah, probably pretty obvious now that we're looking at a bio build from JDSoap. He's probably going to be throwing on more and more barracks and maybe a factory too, so he can get out that precious medevac later on. Reaper, totally unaccosted, is making his way up just to check out that Nexus. Where's the Mothership Core? Really weird to see that pulled back all the way. Maybe he was worried about that Reaper making his way up into his main base by abusing those ledges. Regardless, I would have more aggressively positioned at least the Stalker to close that out, but doesn't want the scouting to go on. He has a robotics facility down and is throwing on 2 more gateways, which is a good play. I love robotics facilities, especially on a big map like this. It's nice to have those observers out early to see exactly what's going on. And in fact, I did not notice. Yeah, no scouting at all. No scouting at all from ApeXPredatoR. He's got absolutely no idea. He knows that his unit has a barracks because he's dealing with a Reaper, and that's about it. Bunker on the low ground, fully saturated. Orbital Command has taken its time to throw down its mule in the main before moseying down into the natural factory, and barracks being added on, as well as a second gas factory is undoubtedly being used to get out that starport. Probably going to be seeing a reactor thrown on that, and hopefully a tech lab on that barracks so he can work on those upgrades. Speaking of upgrades, +1 more than halfway done, and with that extra gas being thrown in, maybe he's going to be throwing down another engineering bay, or is he just going to be banking that gas so he can mass produce the medevacs very, very early on. Warp Gate Tech just now finishing. Robotics Facility is silent. Has he gotten anything out? Oh, good. The Observer is indeed out, on its way over. Good rally point there. Is going to be poking it into the natural. We don't see any detection there. I don't think that Observer is going to have any problems at all. Tech Lab and Starport being added on too. So yeah, this is going to be a really cool drop play. Very classic drop play. With the +1 finishing, these Marines and Marauders are going to be incredibly devastating. Oh, and Stim as the first choice. Sometimes you see Combat Shield being thrown in, but that usually means the Terran's going to be turtling a little bit more, not doing drops. But with Stim, it's pretty obvious that JDSoap really wants to be aggressive. He wants to get out there and actually do some damage. Maybe he's going to be throwing on another barracks and working on that Combat Shield so that they can finish at identical timing, do a bit more of a timing attack. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. That requires some more infrastructure being thrown down, robotics bay being thrown down, and we'll probably be seeing some Colossus out, which is a great play. 2 Forges also being thrown down, but I love the robotics facility and the support bay, because this heavy bio build is absolutely going to melt to Colossus, and that is a very devastating attack, those Colossus. And with 2 Forges, those Colossus are going to have +1, +2, +3 weapons to make it so that these Marines, even though they do not have combat shields, just melt away. Salvaged bunker on the high ground. We can see that the medevacs are just seconds away from finishing. The poor Observer was not on follow command of any of these units, which means he was left behind. But now, realizing that they are indeed gone, he's going to be moving out, going to be going back at home. I don't believe he's realized that those medevacs are there. Did the Observer even bother to go up into the main base? No, he did not. And that's okay. Seeing what units are out, you can definitely assume that there's going to be medevacs supporting them. It looks like JDSoap is going to be waiting for +1 armor as well as Stim to finish. He's already got +1 weapons, but there's a Colossus out on the field. That Colossus range hasn't been started yet, which is kind of weird for ApeXPredator. He's definitely got enough money to do that. I mean, look at that. Here comes the push. No force fields to speak of. Oh, and the Colossus was totally left behind. JDSoap poking up just in time to see that that Colossus is there. There goes the force fields. Really doesn't want to get his Marines caught there. He's going to be shying away from that AoE, but loading them up into the medevacs is going to be moving around to the right side. Oh, defensively positioned Stalkers already there is going to be making those medevacs push away. And JDSoap, man, is going to be feeling frustrated. He had invested quite a lot of money into that, but he's taking an expansion on the back of this, so no real loss there. I mean, he's lost a handful of units. You check out the resources loss tab, just a single one actually. Wow. And nothing more. He's got a nice little contain going on right now, but if that Colossus decided to press the issue, he could definitely totally murk those Marines. Here comes a drop coming down on top of that assimilator core, and there goes the Stalkers moving into the left side. Oh, photon overcharge on the Nexus is going to be forcing these Marines back. However, they have done extreme damage right now. 7 workers killed total. The 2 Stalkers surviving, getting a handful of pot shots off on those medevacs, but they're pushing at the same time. It looks like counter aggression from ApeXPredator into the middle ground with those 2 Colossus playing the bully, forcing back the entire bio ball from JDSoap. He's wow, that's impressive. That's absolutely impressive. Did he lose anything? Okay, yeah, totally. Equalizing the resources loss tab. Really cool play. Remember that the economy was kind of stunted for ApeXPredator. He's lost a couple of probes. He's going to be able to rebound that pretty quickly. 49 over 48 harvesters. However, a third is up for JDSoap, so he's going to have an economic edge. And more importantly, JDSoap kept alive every single one of his medevacs. Huge play. 6 medevacs is a nice number that you really want to keep your bio ball alive. 6 to 8, something like that, and it allows you to constantly drop and harass your opponent. And because he's got the medevacs up that necessary to support his bio ball, he's going to be able to transition into Vikings, which is really going to help him deal with those Colossus. +2/+2 on the way for our Protoss, and we can see +2 started also for the Terran. So yeah, both players kind of sitting back. I think Predator really wants to get out there and take a third. We saw him building that pylon. He's making motions like he wants to, but the drop play is just relentless coming out of JDSoap, and he's just going to be waiting for his next round of upgrades to finish, and he's going to be pushing in there absolutely no problem. We can see a plethora of upgrades going down for ApeXPredators, +2/+2 and Blink, but the one upgrade that is absent is the one on the robotics bay. We don't see any range coming out of those Colossus, and the Colossuses are out of position. The Marines and Marauders going down into the natural as well as the main. Oh my goodness, this drop play is just brutal. We see no Photon Overcharge on either of the Nexuses, but I don't, Nexi or whatever. I don't know where the Mothership Core actually is. This drop play is going absolutely carefree on this one, but it looks like the Nexus up at the 3rd has been successfully defended, even though the drop play has been repelled. The Zealots being thrown down in the mineral lines. Finally, the Photon Overcharge on the Nexus is going to push him back, but oh my goodness, 26 workers killed. That is absolutely brutal, and at the same time, the 3rd is finally going to be picked off by JDSoap, and the Colossus again are out of position to defend that, and that's what I'm talking about on this map. And this map is just brutal because of that. It's so hard to choose your base successfully because of this. If he had chosen this 3rd right here, maybe his Colossus would be better protected for that. You saw that Blink is coming up. Colossus can walk up the walls, even though Photon Overcharge just now expiring. It looks like, oh, we got to be careful. These medevacs are in very, very low health. A handful of those stalkers picking off one of the medevacs. Another one has not gone down, and wasn't there another drop up here? What happened to that drop? Is it dead? It's no, maybe it got repelled. I don't know. But for some reason, he's down to only 3 medevacs now. 3 medevacs, which means he's lost 3. He was at 6 just a second ago. And that is an absolutely huge deal, because he's got a lot of Vikings out now. He's going to be able to switch back to those medevacs. And this is a huge number of Vikings, and that's totally going to devastate these Colossus out there. But the loss of those medevacs means that he's not going to be able, he shouldn't be able to continually produce those Vikings. It looks like he's got another starport up back at home. A Ghost Academy also coming up. Really good infrastructure back at home, but not so much infrastructure as the way is unit producing. We need more barracks to be able to continue the stream, the Terran just war machine. I need another 3 barracks, I think, 1 with a reactor and 2 with tech labs, so we can have a plethora of Marauders. I do like the infrastructure as high as far as high tech is concerned. A lot of Vikings, a lot of medevacs, but I feel like he's not going to be able to reproduce his ground army enough to deal with some of the stuff that's coming out from ApeXPredatoR. He's got Storm on the way. High Templar are already out on the field, I think. Do I see any? No, maybe not. Whatever. Colossus that are not upgraded without that range, that is absolutely brutal. Forcing the cancel on the Nexus up at the 3rd is a really big deal. Again, JDSoap moving in with a handful of his Marauders can pick off that pylon. I was hoping that the Nexus was going to get thrown down again once he pulled back, but that's going to supply block Predator, and his Predator is really, really far behind. Look at that. Massive supply discrepancy, but Psionic Storm is going to be finishing. He doesn't have any High Templar out on the field. He had a handful, but he morphed them into Archons instead, which means that drop is really, that Psionic Storm is really not going to be helping him. Blink forward with the Stalkers is going to be forcing back those Vikings, but 2 of the Colossus have gone down. Good play here to hallucinate one of the Colossus, but that's really not going to save the other one. He needs that AoE. He needs AoE so very badly. It looks like he's going to be relying on the splash damage from the Archons pretty much exclusively in this coming fight, because he needs to have those High Templar out. Throw down that Storm, maybe feedback the medevacs. 1 or 2 of them could go down just due to the feedback, but I think Storm, more than anything else, would save him. It would be great if he had range to keep those guys alive, but holy Zealots. That is a lot of Zealots. And Charge is on the way. +3/+3 also, so these Zealots are definitely not chump change. They're really going to be doing quite a lot of damage. I don't know. I really don't know. I can't call this one way or another. I think JDSoap has Predator in a corner. It looks like he's got his 3rd fully saturated. He's added on that infrastructure that I was talking about, and it looks like he's making motions like he wants to take a 4th. So Predator's really going to have to make something happen like no one else's business, because JDSoap is totally maxed. He's getting Planetary Fortresses, going to be having an impenetrable base at home, even taking a Ninja 5th up in the top left corner. I say 5th because it's pretty obvious he wants to take the 4th right here, but whatever. +3/+3 is finished for both players. Charge, it looks like, is the only upgrade left on the agenda for Predator, and look at this massive concave. There's great positioning here by JDSoap. It's just waiting for Predator to push out because he knows he's got him in a stranglehold. Eventually he's going to be mined out, if not already. Yeah, he's almost mined out completely at his main. I think all Predator's waiting for is to fully... no, maybe nothing. Does he have... Can these guys storm yet? I don't think so. They can feedback, though, and here comes the SCVs. Oh, no! The High Templars pushing in. There goes the Storm. Oh... Just one. And yeah, he's got plenty of medevacs up, so he's going to be able to heal that no problem at all. The Zealots, man, just chewing alive those SCVs. And I think that's it. Predator's going to be pushing forward. Here we go. The Zealots just streaming in, Storm being thrown down. Really great AoE. No stutter step micro at all, but it's because that massive concave existed. The concave falling apart, just instantly melting away. Speaking of melting away, all the Colossus are completely gone. The Vikings landing, but the Zealots streaming in from the north side, having eradicated that concave completely. Holy crap, what a massacre. On the back of this, the medevacs forcing to boost away from this. The Ghosts, where are their EMPs now? It doesn't even matter. Those Zealots are so incredibly resilient that they can survive a ridiculous amount even without their shields. Stutter Step Micro finally coming into play now that JDSoap is thrown on the back of this, but his infrastructure back at home is falling silent. I mean, only a single Marauder, only a single Marine on the production tab. He's completely given up because this just totally got broken. This is not over. This is absolutely the only thing you have to crush here. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he won a single fight, but what? Okay, so JDSoap lost a battle, but he totally had won the war. I mean, he had so many different expansions up, it's not even funny. He could play Ring Around the Rosie against the Protoss. The Protoss, he didn't even have enough money to throw down a Nexus. He would eventually. I mean, he's still mining fully from his natural, but he doesn't have enough money to keep the war effort going. He could afford to sack. JDSoap could afford to sack every single unit that we see right here, every single structure right there, and keep alive his main and natural, as well as the fourth that we have up here in the corner, and he could still come back from this. He has a great infrastructure back at home. He's got a good, healthy amount of bank. He'd be able to wear down those Zealots and gateway units pretty easily, I think. And I mean, this game totally wasn't over, but because he had such a commanding lead, he knew he was going to win, and then it just kind of melts away. And that's what happens whenever Protoss builds up steam, man. They get this massive bio ball or death ball that just can't be stopped except through attrition. And I guess JDSoap was feeling frustrated because he taps out the Gold Leaguer, takes out the Grandmasters. That's awesome. You guys are awesome. Thank you for watching my replay. If you have a game you want me to cast, you could PM me here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Big and Scary. Bye.